Welcome to Downright Mindful. Stories that stick, questions that matter, and conversations that make you think. Let's get right down to it. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Downright Mindful. This is Matt, and in this episode, Paul and I took things outside, literally. The audio is going to sound a little bit different because we decided to step away from the studio, grab some cheap microphones, and just let the conversation flow. Now, this isn't something we're going to do very often. We did this because it's spring break, the weather's nice, and Paul might have been a little bit sick. So in lieu of sitting in a small room face to face with one another and talking for an hour, we decided to just go back to the place where this all started. Just get some steps in and talk to each other like friends. That's what we were doing when we decided, hey, let's start a podcast. Anyway, this conversation, Paul's going to drive it beautifully, and it all starts with a simple question. Are there movies you wouldn't want to watch with your mom? Well, he actually started about the utility of his fingernails as tools, but I digress. Those questions led us into a deeper conversation. That was just a doorway into something bigger where we end up talking about unspoken social rules, like the lines we all seem to follow and whether they ever really change or where do they change, when do they change. This conversation kind of goes a little bit of everywhere. There's ideas about questioning culture and awkward moments and the kind of conversations that, you know, they're not so comfortable for you at times, but maybe later in life they become more comfortable. Or do they? Anyways, this conversation that Paul and I have is the kind of conversation that after it's over, it just leaves you thinking. I've been thinking about it ever since we recorded it, and hopefully that's what you get from it as well. Hopefully you get that from all of our conversations, because that's what we intend to do here is let you into our little brain window to see two dudes in life that are teachers and one's a former police. And we're doing life just like the rest of you, and we're figuring some things out, and we have some perspective looking back. And we're still lifelong learners. We're students that are hoping to grow in everything that we do. Speaking of what we do, if you like what we do here, do me a favor and follow the show on Spotify. Subscribe to the show on YouTube. Also, if you know a friend that would like something that we've said, share this episode with them. That's how we keep these conversations going. All right, without further ado, let me bring Paul in here and get into episode 22 of Downright Mindful, Unwritten Rules, Social Norms, and When the Lines Hold Firm.
What if I didn't start this conversation until we got outside these doors and we don't have to hear? Is that a good idea?
Perfectly fine with that. Or we could add in the as just, hey man, these guys are going somewhere. Like I can hear...
There's your intro you're looking for.
Yeah, that's the intro. Got the police academy up here doing driving week.
Yeah, I saw him going backwards as fast as he could.
Yeah. Guys got it made with the weather during driving week, man.
What's the more challenging? I imagined some rain.
Yeah, my driving week was cold and rain.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, so usually you have two different experiences. It's either cold and rain, or it's 174 degrees outside. So this is they're blessed this week.
A balmy 72.
Yeah.
What if I told you I don't like cutting my fingernails? Not as in like I don't like cutting my fingernails, but like I don't like cutting my fingernails because I like the utility of having fingernails.
Use them as tools?
Yeah. And I got like strong nails, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sarah always been that way?
Sarah tells me all the time. Yeah. So I got one son who chews them.
Yeah?
He's never had fingernails in his whole entire life.
Yeah?
And, the others, I remember those days of like, Sarah, they've got to learn how to cut their nails for themselves.
I was a nail chewer most of my life, and just in the last few years, I'm no longer a nail chewer, but I'm a guy who has no skills manicuring his fingernails in any other way. So like every now and then I'll just trim them off, like just rip them off.
That's terrible. It doesn't make any sense. Why?
Judging me right now?
Yes. I'm concerned. Because, if you chew your nails, that's one thing. It's, you're just chewing on every germ you've touched all day long. And if you're ripping your nails off, man, I don't know. I just was going back to how functional these things are.
Oh, sure.
But there's some sort of when I let them go too long, even kids in class would be like, you cut those things. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
But then I will. And then, without exception, within 24 hours every time, I need my nails. I need them for something.
What are you using them for?
I don't know.
Other than peeling stickers.
Do I even peel stickers?
Because that's the first place that gosh, can someone peel this sticker for me? I don't have any fingernails.
Oh, how about this? And you may be able to hear it in my voice, but I haven't been feeling the best.
Yeah.
So that Aleve cold and sinus thing works. But getting that thing out of the package, oh my word, it's ridiculous. You know how many times, Sarah, will you just do this?
Yeah.
And I'm a grown person.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. Social norms, I guess. I don't think that's positive peer pressure that I cut my nails. But when I do, they look good.
Yeah, your nails look like...
I got manicuring skills, unlike you.
What I imagine fingernails are supposed to look like.
Yeah. All right. Different direction. Because I know you well enough, you're okay watching movies in front of other people now that you wouldn't have necessarily watched back in the day. A simple example, if your mom was in the room, right? You probably wouldn't watch that. Is that still the case?
Absolutely. Yeah, if it's got any kind of a sexual scene or nudity at all, no, I'm not watching this with my mom.
How about language?
There's going to be a line there. We could probably...
Is there a limit to the F-bombs?
Absolutely, yeah.
Is it 3 or is it 18?
If it's enough that we can't just fly past it and forget about it, then we're gonna watch this at a different time, probably.
Can you feel the tension in the room?
But I don't have to deal with it. It's not like anytime me and my mom are in the same space, we're not turning on TV.
You don't watch movies?
No.
Yeah, I get it. There was a time, maybe.
Sure
there was. When was the time that you stopped watching movies with your mom?
Well, probably when I moved out of my house as a kid. I moved out at 19, got married.
Mom, we're never watching another movie again. So that went down.
Well, it's the old adage, one day you're going to watch the last movie with your mom and you're just not going to know it,
No one says that.
No.
That's not a thing. We just made that up.
Oh, that's talking about playing outside as a kid. One day all of your friends in the neighborhood were playing outside for the last time and none of you knew it,
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. That last middle school summer before high school and these people won't even be your friends anymore. It's kind of a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
But there's a strand to this. Are there things that you won't watch with Valerie, but you'll watch with Kyler? Is that a thing?
No, not really. There are things that I won't watch. If I'm going to apply very similar rules to Kyler, me and him aren't watching anything that's too risque together.
I'm not saying you pick these movies on purpose, but you picked a movie and there's this scene. Still awkward?
No, it's not so awkward with Kyler. He we could get away with probably some more F-bombs with Kyler than we could get by with mom or grandma,
Okay, so you threw out nudity and you threw out F-bombs, but just coarse language, yes, humor that's a little over the top. Could be something raunchy. I'm not talking about the whole movie. I'm talking about a scene, or just awkward. Are there things that you will watch and Valerie's I'm not watching that, just because it's just awkward, just because it's different, or just because it's too slow, or too many things are blowing up, or do you lose each other, in in watching with any of those things?
Yeah, slow. Like I'm going to be able to endure a little slower development in a story than Valerie. Typically, she's likely to say, "God, this is so slow. This is just I'm lost. This is losing me." But I can put up with a little more of that.
Can you put up with a lot? Do you like stories like that?
I won't say I can put up with a lot.
Will you watch a bad movie? Or will you just turn it off?
If I get enough sample size in that I realize this ain't turning, that's just what this movie is, I probably won't waste that time.
So you don't do different, you don't do, I don't know. Okay, so it's Oscar season. They threw out some awards.
Yeah.
You know, and people always are like, you know, no one's even seen these movies, which usually when Oscar season comes around, I haven't seen these movies.
Yeah.
And I get so curious that like, I'll watch something just because.
Okay.
Conclave. Did you hear about that one?
Nope.
Okay. So one comedian said, yeah, here's a Catholic movie for you that you don't have to, and he awkwardly paused, worry about that. So, you know, because we've had quite a few, you know, hey, it's the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's that thing we're investigating again. Yeah, it's a relatively new movie, so I won't tell the end, but like, it was like, at the end. Not necessarily cool. I'm going to go tell my friend he needs to watch this movie right this second. But it was like, okay, I get where you're going here. So I watched Conclave, and then I've been sick. So remember, I got a lot of time on my hands.
Yeah. So
it's time to do something that like, there's not a chance in the world I would have watched this otherwise. The Book of Clarence. You even heard of this?
No. Is this another one you heard of from the Oscars?
No. This was not up for any Oscars as far as I'm aware of.
Okay.
But it did come out last year, and it's got Lakeith Stanfield, who I like a lot. He goes all the way back. I think it's his first film, Short Term 12. That was directed by none other than Destin Cretton of Chris Cretton cousin fame.
Sure.
And just fascinating. And you've seen this guy before. He's been on other movies. Oh, my word. I was juggling.
Trying to juggle.
And then I dropped them all.
Juggle, walk, and talk at the same time.
But I am. Look, I'm doing it.
You got it.
So I'm watching this movie, and I thought, you know what? My mom was in the room right now. She'd be squirming. And you're not hearing F-bombs. There's no naked scenes. There's no raunchy humor. It's just Bible stories that have been given a very unique twist. Like it's a black cast, so there's a black Jesus. Just so go with me on this one.
Okay.
But our main character, Clarence, his brother is Thomas, the Thomas that you know, Doubting Thomas.
Yeah.
And he doubts that Clarence can ever be anything in life. Okay, so that's one little subplot over here.
Pause. Does Thomas really have a brother named Clarence? Or do you...
I mean, not that. That's not in the scriptures. Huh?
Okay, play.
Yeah. But John the Baptist, he's in this movie, and Clarence goes to get baptized. John's like, "You're not serious." He slaps him in the face. He slaps him on the other side. It's like, okay, what am I watching right now? But it's so silly, so goofy, but so, I don't know. I was captivated. You know, I did one of those things when it was over. It was like, who really watched this thing?
Is this like a spaghetti Middle Eastern?
No. I mean, man, I can't explain it, but I watched it. And it was one of those where like, is this a Bible story? Like Barabbas is a good guy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. But hold on. But yeah, because you know Bible stories, you automatically assume Barabbas is about to do something bad. And Barabbas just keeps doing, like he calls himself immortal. Like at one point, some spear gets thrown through his chest, and then a second one through his chest, and then the third one in his leg, and he survives. Barabbas. Now, Judas, he's in here. He ends up being bad.
Okay.
But Clarence decides, in order to get himself out of debt and out of trouble, because he sells weed.
Oh,
he sells weed in this story.
Is it illegal there?
In this Bible story? Well, I mean, yeah, sorta. And he steals like honey wine from the Romans. See where I'm going with this? I mean, like, how ridiculous is this? This isn't a Bible story.
Is this a comedy of some sort?
Oh yeah, laughter in the whole entire time.
Oh, okay, so yeah.
But at the same time, there's these moments of like, yeah, humility really is a thing. So he calls himself a Messiah. He plans these tricks, miracles, and he starts making all this money so he can like pay his debts off. And in the end, you know, our protagonist, he has a transformation. And it was like, yeah, that's cool. So I watched this movie that if I'm watching this with my mom, or I'm watching this with my dad, or I'm watching this with my wife. Now, Seth, he'll watch anything.
Yeah.
Anything. And so, like, I'll watch anything too. I'll watch a bad movie. You know, I'll watch it all the way to the end. Caleb, I mean, he'll watch anything that Seth and I are watching. He'll come in on those, but
yeah.
like, you know, I mean, he take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
And Isaac, I mean, you know, I think I'm gonna go play video games. You know, I mean, he doesn't watch a lot of us. But there's this thing about Uncle Ben says, you know, who really determines like what's the word I'm looking for here? Appropriate or inappropriate. Yeah, that's what he says.
Okay.
No, I'm really asking you though. Like, if there's certain movies that we will watch, but we wouldn't watch with our mama, or we wouldn't watch with our dad, or we wouldn't watch with our wife.
Yeah. Like,
when did we somewhere along the way cross this line into, watch this, is it adulthood? Is it maturity? Is it rebellion? Is it like the music that we listen to?
Yeah.
When did we cross over and no longer care, you know, what our parents thought? Stop me if I told you this story already. We were golfing with the boys. It was a par 3 and you're shooting downhill. It was kind of a fun hole. And these guys are down there and they're playing hip hop music.
On the golf course?
On the golf course, yeah. And it's loud. And I mean, like, it's already too loud. You know, like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But we can hear it coming up. And he just looks at me and shakes his head. And I just don't like that music. And the boys look right at me right away. And I look right at Pat Ball and I go, Dad, I love it. I've loved it ever since high school. And he looked at me and went, really? I was like, yes. I mean, even still today, I listen to hip hop. I just don't get it. And that was it. Now, we had that conversation as a 15-year-old. That goes a totally different direction, right?
Yeah.
But there's this time, this line, this decision, maybe where this is going, of like we just kind of shrug our shoulders and go, doesn't matter what mom and dad say. And is there a time where we shrug and go, you know, I mean, what my wife thinks matters, but like, I'm still going to watch this, or I'm still going to listen to this, or she doesn't have to, you know? And what got me thinking about this, and then I want to hear your voice, is having Seth on. Like, I haven't watched no Dave Chappelle with Sarah, but I watched some Dave Chappelle with Seth.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Dave Chappelle with Isaac. Follow what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
And Seth and I, you know, because Dave can go to these places, right?
Yeah.
And with a certain person in the room, now we're not even watching Dave anymore. We're having to explain why we're watching Dave. Did you follow that one?
Mm-hmm.
But when it was over, Seth, dude, I mean, he's 21. He's got some life experience. He's been through a dark night of the soul. I mean, there's been some transformation in his life. Shoot, there's still struggles in his life, and there's still joy all at the same time. So I was like, hey, remember when he said this? Remember when he said that? What do you think about that? You know, and we actually, Dave Chappelle stimulated some young adult conversation with me and my son. It was valuable.
Sure.
But we had to get through the content. And for me, there's a dad view of that, and there's a, hey, dude, listen to this guy. And if you can listen to the whole thing and watch him paint this whole canvas, then like, man, you probably, at least if you don't learn something, you're going to be thinking about something. What do you think about that? That was a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's got my mind thinking about, like, first of all, you know, I guess there's a set of sort of social norms attached to what you would be comfortable watching, with your mother or with your dad, or what you would be okay with them knowing that you're okay with. But, the moment you tell your dad, I love that music and I've loved it since I was in high school, I don't know where the line is. I would say it's hidden somewhere. And, we've both just gone through this, from a dad perspective. There was this time where I look at Kyler as this kid who I'm quite a bit at times responsible for sort of helping and nurturing and guiding. And that over a period of a year or two, that's sort of shifted into now Kyler is this grown man who
he's got a career and he's engaged to get married.
Yeah, that's right. I'm still a voice in his life, probably more than I was then. If you start accounting for like how much of this is he taken to heart.
Yeah.
Because he's getting to a place in his life where he's, hey, tell me what do you think about this? You're not getting that at times during teenage years from Kyler. And I would say a lot of teenagers, they're just trying to figure it out. But it's during that time that, there was this realization of like, hey, this is no longer little Kyler that's, in football, you didn't get the call you wanted. You pick up the ball, hand it to the referee, jog back to the huddle. That's the kind of teaching that's happening now. Now, if he were to make a decision to have a conversation with that referee, and this is metaphorical now because he's no longer playing football, but if he decides to do something outside of the norm, which I would have hoped for him all of his life, like I'm okay with it. I'd say there's lines to where I'd be like, oh gosh, man, wrong way. But he's no longer that kid. He's now an adult human in my life making real decisions for himself and his family.
So when did Matt become not little Matt anymore?
Well, I think that answer would be different if you ask me and if you went and asked my mother.
Okay.
Because I'd say if you ask her,
give me your answer and then tell me what you think.
If you ask her, there's still some little Matt, she's still my mom and she still has hopes and norms and things that.
She got expectations for you?
If she does, I don't feel them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to jump back into the whole I got married young and moved out. But like in
Is
there.
that it? But
that's it. Probably just before that.
Yeah.
Because there were some decisions being made probably that would have been stretching her expectations of me at the time in order for me to get, nobody says like, man, I hope my teenage son gets married real quick and has a baby, So I was already making some decisions. But yeah, once I'm paying the rent, man, and I'm going to work and doing the things, it's not that I don't care what mom thinks, because I still would. And I'm still not going to, those things that I know are not acceptable to her, I'm not going to bring them around her. I'm not going to, hey, Mom, let's watch some Dave Chappelle. That's not happening.
Not necessarily the scenario I was setting up, but that was the first example, I guess, I came up with.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying. Like for me, my parents they were separated in college, and then they got back together and have been together since. And I know I've said the words, my dad is one of my best friends now. And somewhere along the way that had to reconcile itself. But it wasn't the separation that got me to the place where like all of a sudden I found my voice. No, I decided I'd just smush. But then later on, I remember they were living in South Carolina. We were sitting on the front porch. My dad, man, every time we'd come home, and my two older sisters, he'd always say the same thing. Hey, is there anything y'all would change about the way that we raised you? And I was raised to be a good boy. Yeah. And so, man, 20, 22, 24, 26, I can still imagine myself going, nah, Dad, nah, Dad, nah.
Yeah.
But I know that there are times when I've described my upbringing kind of like, especially when I became an athlete, especially became, a teenager who's kind of taking control of his destiny, has some ambitions, has some goals, and is supported by his parents.
Mm-hmm.
Where, there was a silent code of kind of conduct or silent code of performance. And I now know, looking back, it was not intentional, but it's how I interpreted it, how I felt it, and how I responded to it. And, and you did good. You just kind of felt like it was just a head nod. Nothing was said.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're supposed to do. Oh, you had 18? Good job. That's what you're supposed to do. You can turn the ball over tonight? Well, yeah, good. That's what you're supposed to do. Play poorly. You get a look. And no real discussion, no real conversation. Just kind of more silence.
So
right?
How much is that on your mind in that time? This high school you're describing, or college?
Yeah, for sure. High school.
Yeah, you thinking about this all the time?
Yeah, because I was that kind of kid. I'm that sensitive. I'm seeking affirmation all the time, and all I'm getting is, to me, this seeming silence. 'Cause my dad was successful, man. His stories of being a minor league baseball player, that always converted in our house as professional athlete, and he knows how to get it done.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, then I'll support you. If playing college ball is your ambition, then let's do it. That kind of thing. And so, yeah, I'm going to do whatever he says. And I did. Hey, he's reading these books. I'm reading these books. It didn't matter that I was 16 years old. I just wanted to be successful.
All right, so hang on. And if I try to jump ahead here, knock me back. Do you think standing here now at 47, his intentions were anywhere near those expectations that you felt from him?
No, and I tried to hint at that.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to be clear. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
I know that now.
Yeah.
I know that being grown because I've now had conversations with him.
Yeah.
That just went to those places. It was like, hey, tell me more. Tell me what you were thinking. And so I remember being in South Carolina on that front porch and him asking again. And it was always so sincere. And so I went for it. It's like, yeah, I'd change something. And to see my dad just, excuse me, you can edit that one out or keep it. And my dad kind of sit up in his chair and just he wants to know. I mean, it wasn't shock. It wasn't disappointment. It was, oh, yeah, we're going to have a real conversation about this. And I just said, I wish we would have put the basketball down a few times and just took a walk.
Yeah.
That's it. So we could just talk, just be together. He said, I see that. And there hasn't been a trip. I mean, he's been from South Carolina to Las Cruces to El Paso to, Atlanta, where I come visit. He makes sure he carves out time. It's just me and him. And to me, that's special, man. That's gold. I wouldn't trade that for nothing, but I had to cross the threshold from everything that was normal and say and do something different. And, I'm raising boys right now, and I want them to find their voice, and I want them to have their perspective of the world. And I still want to be relatable to them, and I want to relate to them.
Yeah.
But I also want just that authenticity in our relationship, that they would be willing to, man, if there is something sincerely that could change or be different, then I hope it's different.
All right, go ahead. I'll fix that.
You always say, oh, no, let's keep it.
I won't.
I dare you. Double dog dare you.
What's up, man? Y'all got the good weather this week, don't you?
So part of this idea today, I was listening to a podcast, and man, they just kept throwing out sociologists, and I'm at least recognizing names from all my studies, and but they just kept talking about initiation. And how, our culture doesn't do initiation real well. Like, there's not like hard line, hey, we've talked about this before. So somewhere along the way, you either get stuck or you break into this other, I don't want to be so dramatic and say, this new stratosphere of life where you're just living, but kind of like you've got to break out of a particular mold of, when you still get with your family, you end up just being like 10-year-old Matt. You ever feel that? Like, I know with my older sisters, they still like to argue, right? And so they'll get to argue, and they're in their 50s, man. 50s. And there is this temptation for me to step in to intercede, like I always have. As the younger brother, trying to be that guy. I don't do that anymore. If they want to argue it out, whatever, it's entertainment value now. And I've got fellow spectators with me now, where Sarah, Seth, Caleb, and Isaac, they don't miss anything anymore. We're just like, they're at it again. And even my boys would like elbow each other, And it's like, oh gosh, because what they say just doesn't make any sense. They argue. They argue about real stuff. To them, yeah. To the rest of us, no. But yet, right?
Yeah.
But I remember for years, even being all grown, and I just having to explain to Sarah who I am in these situations or these relationships, to where you just finally go, that's Paul 2.0, right?
Yeah.
And making those conscious decisions of like, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm gonna be done with that from now on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch this, and I'm gonna see if I can glean something from it, because I wouldn't watch it otherwise if I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch it if I didn't think it was. And for me, it's not just comedies that are funny. Like, I don't like raunchy comedy. I think it's boring.
Sure.
I think we've talked about that before, maybe.
Yeah.
That's the low-hanging fruit most comedians admit to.
Yeah.
But like, if you're gonna throw some things out there, but then you're also gonna throw me something to think about, thank you for that gift. You just gotta take a chance in watching something different, listening to something different. And I'm not talking about not being mindful or discerning of, who's in the room and who you're with. And I don't intentionally want people to squirm or feel uncomfortable. Yeah. But I do find it pretty fascinating when people are like, I want to hear what the means, right? Rather than the, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll turn it. We'll watch something else, or we'll talk about something else, or and it's probably influencing my two brothers-in-laws, because they just kind of say whatever they want to say, and they've kind of almost always been like that.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't always been like that way. I have been fascinated. So we got all there with the Book of Clarence.
Book of Clarence.
Yeah.
So this is, I imagine, some comedians sitting around there like, what would be funny? Is if one of the disciples had like a brother that you never heard about, and he was just a clown, just a troublemaker. I like the idea.
So I'm going to tell you this. Clarence gets crucified in the end.
Oh, okay.
Like, we watch his crucifixion. This is not a Bible film where you watch Jesus' crucifixion. You watch Clarence's crucifixion. And then watch this, because you ain't going to watch this movie.
Well,
you might.
Thinking about it.
Jesus shows up at his tomb. Guess what happens? He raises Clarence from the dead.
Okay.
See, now you're definitely not going to watch it. But it was like, did that just happen? Yeah, that just happened. Clarence he's alive again.
Is this written by people we know? Like,
I don't know. But
Here's you one. You ever heard of what's that show?
Please say something I know. Come on.
Dan Goodman plays a mega church pastor.
You're on to something. Yeah.
He has his whole the righteous gemstones.
Yeah.
Do you know this show?
Called? This is a show or a movie?
It's a show.
Then no.
It's a show,
man. Thinking of something else.
And I'll tell you, it is. At first, it was uncomfortable for me because it is portraying just. There's not one of them that has like a good bone in their body. They're mega church pastors. You know, the Dan Goodman's the father, and he's the old wizard of the group. But then all of his kids are, you know, one of them's over praise and worship, and the other one's over media, and the other, and they're all just heathens, man, just criminals. But with that being said, they're poking fun at in a lot of ways at like big church culture, and they do it in a way that it is really funny.
How deep did you get into this?
I think there's a new season out that I haven't watched, but when I started watching it, I couldn't stop.
Okay.
You know the guy that plays. Did you ever watch Justified?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
The guy that plays, there's a guy in that.
I think you've told me to watch it.
Boyd Crowder, I think, is the sort of the sworn enemy of the marshal in Justified. The guy that plays him, he's a great actor. I should know his name, but he plays in that show, and it's a star-studded cast, man. It's well done. It's one of those shows that, yes, if I watched it with my mother, I'd be super uncomfortable, man.
Valerie, watch it.
Not because of sexual scenes but there's F-bombs aplenty.
Yeah.
But because they're in these roles that we would typically respect so much, and you better not say nothing bad about those folks, and you better not even think bad thoughts about them. But in this show, they are literally criminals.
Did you watch it with Valerie?
No, I don't think so. I think she was watching a certain show, and I kind of picked up on this one and watched it. I would watch it with Valerie, though. It's not one of those.
Yeah.
There's not a lot that I won't watch with Valerie.
Yeah. Yeah, Sarah and I, we had different viewing tastes. She likes things like car chases. She likes the thriller. She likes stuff blowing up. She likes action.
Fast and Furious.
Yeah. Well, no.
No, not that much.
No, but like Jack Reacher.
Okay.
Loves it. I like it. Because I think we have diagnosed him with autism. Does that sound about right?
Jack Reacher?
Yeah.
I'd say if anybody's on the spectrum, he would be.
I think we even I could be making this up, but we even found that out online. I don't know.
Oh,
like
okay.
his demeanor and his one-liners, I mean, they make me laugh after he's just like punched someone in the nose. Because I'm character driven. I'll watch a slow movie. You know, I've got no qualms about that at all.
Yeah.
But it is funny, like Sarah will start watching something and I'm like, I'm not watching those witches from New Orleans, whatever that one is. She got through all that and I'm like watching like The Good Place. You know about that one?
No.
She dies. She goes to heaven. She thinks it's heaven. It's not really heaven. But you're like into season 2 and you're still thinking it's heaven. She's still thinking it's heaven. That was pretty good.
Wow.
But I mean, it gets deep into like philosophy while also doing like really goofy stuff. But it was one of those like episodes are like 23 minutes. You just blow right through them or you sit down and watch one. That was one where Seth was in his philosophy class at Cleveland State and they were talking about the trolley problem. You know about this in philosophy?
I don't think so.
You're barreling down the tracks. Like, you know, I mean, if you keep going straight, people are going to die.
Oh, yeah.
But if you veer off over here, like your mama's going to die.
Yeah.
So which one do you do? You know, the trolley problem. So
yeah.
Anyway, there's a scene that this fella has to continue to reenact it and like make the right decision. And bodies just keep splattering. He gets another redo and another
Comes
redo.
our friend.
Oh,
We got to pause here. Richard Jackson's pulling up on us in a lawnmower.
that was you. We kept walking.
Hey, buddy, you're on Downright Mindful right now.
No, you really are. Yeah. That's hilarious.
You doing it outside?
Yeah, we just thought we'd come take a walk. Thought we'd come take a little walk. What you doing? You strapping up the baseball field?
Trying.
What are they gonna do with all these dead trees?
I really don't know.
But I don't even know where to begin.
Well, we could start with sharing that we are walking around the school campus right now. So if our audio is a little different than what it has been, our listeners could know that. And we just ran into our buddy Richard Jackson. So shout out to that guy. He's up here striping up the baseball and softball fields. But yeah, I don't know kind of where we left off, man, before our little break there.
Social norms, family norms, religious norms.
Yeah.
You know, we even gave old Richard a little pop quiz of,
Oh, yeah.
hey, when'd you cross that threshold of like you'd watch anything with your dad? How about with your mom? He's like, I still haven't crossed that one. Which for a lot of us, yeah, makes some sense. He's got kids just like we do, you know, making decisions all the time.
Yeah.
What we watch does matter. Let's go there. What we watch matters. What we put in our brain matters. It seeps into our heart, I believe. What we meditate on, so what we watch a lot or listen a lot. Yeah, I think it matters for sure.
I think so too.
And I believe that because I was taught that growing up. But like, you know, you begin to learn some things that, just because I was taught that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, I'm gonna hold on to that. But I do. I believe that.
Yeah.
So, you know, still mindful. But I'm still fascinated by. It's funny because, like, you know, we teach in a public high school. Kids will throw some curse words around, and when they make it real obvious, I usually do ask them, like, talk that way in front of your mama? And the kids that say, yep, I always say, it only makes sense that you would say it in public. You do realize we're in a public high school setting, filter police, and they're usually very respectful and say, yep.
Yeah.
And then there's those that go, I wouldn't say that in front of my mom. Well, don't say it behind her back, you know? Expand your vocabulary.
Yeah.
Right? So, mamas matter. Dads matter. Friendship matters. Man, this is like a big old sociology lesson.
Yeah. Wonder if it's that way for most people. Like, dad holds sort of a different place than mom does in that regard. What are we talking to mom about, or what are we doing with mom that we're not doing with dad?
It's a good question.
Speaking for me, it's like a hard conversation. Like that's a conversation for mom with me. I don't know if that's true for most people.
I mean, Sarah and I have this conversation all the time. Doesn't answer your question, but like, at least in our house, mom's built different. You know, mom sees things different. Mom feels things different. She thinks different. And that's a gift. And it usually isn't embraced as a gift until there's a little friction and a little tension is felt and a little figuring out that some wisdom was just handed to us and we didn't see it as such at the beginning. I know that's true of my relationship with my mom growing up, but at the same time, I know at our house, like in those first 10 years, and she's staying home with those boys, and she is just, man, she is the sun and she is the rain because she just nourishes in just multiple ways. And those first 10 years, you know, I'm walking in the house just, hey boys, let's wrestle, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, maybe, what are we doing with dad? What aren't we doing with dad? And maybe it is seasons of life, as we always say all the time. But like, my ambition has never been to be cool dad. But my ambition has always been to see my boys be able to take care of themselves and be willing to take care of others. And then like the third pillar of that is just that I could count them as one of my dudes. And we could have conversations that matter, that they wouldn't have to filter, oh, I'm about to tell dad this. So Caleb and Seth, we've had these conversations about how, it took quite a bit of time. And it takes a little bit of risk of going, okay, I'm going to take my sun filter off and I'm going to ask my dad that question, or I'm going to tell my dad this story, or, we're going to do something that we haven't done yet and we'll see how it goes. And it may be awkward. It may not be. Cause I was that dad that was intentional about, hey, we're about to start middle school. You're about to hear some things, you're about to see some things. And I had those awkward conversations. Hey, we're about to start high school. Let's go either take another walk or take another ride in the truck. And, the boys will bring it up now and just chuckle about it. But like, man, Caleb, sincerely, just, I don't know, maybe it was this summer, maybe it was probably this fall. Just like, yeah, man, it was awkward. I get it now. And I'm thankful for it. Because I was real intentional as he was going into engineering at UTK. I wanted him to know that he could embrace science and God all at the same time.
Yeah.
Like those go hand in hand. They are not opposites. They are not clashing. They are collaborators. Just mystery is science. God is mystery. Science is discovery. God is discovery. Is that a dad conversation? I don't know. Is that a parenting conversation? What's the mom conversation? Well, for Caleb, it's been be friends with that girl. Just be friends with that girl. I mean, that was the message from the beginning.
Yeah.
Even before he started dating Sydney, Sarah just kept driving that. Be friends with her. Enjoy her company. Make sure she knows you enjoy her company. Communicate. Enjoy each other's company. It was just what we emphasize. And, I think both of those things got him as prepared as possible to go do his thing on his own. And on his own he went to a concert with Chandler and Seth last night. And instead of spending the night in Cookville, he went ahead and drove all the way home being dorm room at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
It's just like, cool.
Yeah.
Mama was a little worried. Did you tell him to stay at Seth's? I suggested it, know? And he carried on. So I don't know. Your question still stands, and it's still a really good one.
I got a question. This goes back to a few minutes ago. Let me take you back to where you was talking about your dad. He says, like, is there anything you wish we'd have done different? Like, are you bringing that up because you have those thoughts, or has there been those thoughts of like, if I could step into Seth's shoes or Caleb's shoes or heck, even Isaac's shoes, what pressures or what reality are they walking in that lives between me and them that they don't have the tools to share with me right now? You ever have those thoughts? Your dad did, didn't he?
Yeah, but when I was their age, when I was in high school, college, he didn't want to have those conversations. I do know that now. Like I don't think he was prepared to have those conversations. I don't know, but that space certainly does exist. And I don't mind that space existing. If there's something that they can't talk with me yet about, okay. I'm okay with that. because they are on their own. And I mean, Seth's been on his own now for 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, let's call it 2 years. He did a year at Cleveland State, but he's been up at Tech, and he's had his jobs, assembly line, Buc-ee's. I mean, he's worked, he's interacted with people, he's gotten over some things, quirks in his personality, just having a job and figuring stuff out for himself. It's been really cool. But yeah, there's some things that I know that he questions. He still doesn't understand because he's 21, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That we even have conversations along these lines shows some maturity, some development, some transformation. And I don't know how to say it, but I take what I can get. And that's not what I mean. I won't try to force what he can't give yet. Maybe a better way of addressing what you just said.
I've had some of those moments, some of those hard conversations with little kid Kyler, who was morphing right before my eyes into grown man Kyler, and maybe I held on a little too long, and we had some conversations, and he started to show me those places where I didn't really have any bad intentions, and I was probably trying, but from his perspective, it was showing up a lot different. And as hard as it was for him to say it, there were times it was hard for me to hear. But in the end, and standing here today, I'm glad he did.
Yeah.
That's definitely growth between us there. But yeah, with that said, I'm still okay with that, whatever's between us, even today, that I don't intend to be harmful or cold or anything like that, but maybe he sees it one way, because that's, in the end, that's sort of part of who we are together.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's a well we could jump off in and be in for a long time.
I don't want to jump in a well, man.
No, I don't like jumping in wells. That's a pretty scary thought. Was that 70? Paul's out here throwing
64
baseballs. No,
probably.
It's not even baseballs. It's tennis balls.
I threw a baseball.
Oh, that was a baseball. Oh, the tennis ball was a little faster.
It was wind aided. Throw that baseball back.
All right.
So are we just having fun right now, or what?
Huh?
Is this even going to be an episode?
I don't know. I'll try to form it into somewhat of a podcast episode. I mean, I'll just give you the play-by-play. Paul winds up, the righty from Middletown. That's you're 2-1.
Oh, you can't count the tennis ball.
Oh, I don't count the tennis ball. All right, well, 1-1 is the count. Winds up again. That low leg kick. Oh, just a little off to the left.
You're supposed to say just a bit outside. I'm going to throw another tennis ball, and you're going to count it.
We going tennis ball again?
No, throw me the baseball back.
Well, if it was a strike, I would count it.
I'm 2-1.
All right, 2-1 count. Pitch it away. You got the line on it?
Oh, it's a strike.
That's a strike. I like the height.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a little Nolan Ryan.
2-2.
Little Fernando twist on this one.
We're rapidly losing listeners right now. Oh, man.
Full count, and I lost the baseball.
That's also a balk. It's all right, though. I was trying to hit the plate. I missed.
We're not losing listeners if you can edit all this out.
Wait, did he say I was supposed to edit all that out? I guess I failed my part for the week. Anyways, thank you for listening this far. I hope you enjoyed our content this week. In efforts to bring you consistent content and consistent conversations, we really had to do some stretching to make this one work. Again, Paul was under the weather, and hopefully he's feeling better. And he'll be back at school strong this week. Anyways, I won't bore you any longer, folks. Thank you for listening. Remember to like, share, follow, share it with a friend, literally. Someone who may get a laugh out of something we said, or someone who may think about something that we've said, or somebody, that you share conversations with and you bump into these kind of topics. Let them know we're here. We'd love to have them join in.